I'm Evelyn Mulroe, and I'm the Chief Executive of IPOSI, which is the Irish Platform for Patient Organisation, Science and Industry. And we've been working with Insight and with Brian and Nicola in UCD around ideas around patient involvement in connected health for the last couple of years. And the reason behind that is that we've got access to all the major patient organisations in Ireland in IPOSI. We've also got members who are from academia, and that's how we know UCD and that's how we know the people there. But we've got members from industry as well. And what we really wanted to do in the past was get patients involved in medicines development, clinical trials, health economics. But now we feel there's a really good space for them in terms of connected health and what that might mean. What we always say is if you want to create something for healthcare, you need to ask the market first, and the market is the patient. And that's not a patronising group of people we talk about in the third person. That's the people that have the condition, which is all of us. All of us are patients at some point or other. But different chronic diseases have different needs. And we'd like that those who are involved in developing new technologies and involved in health information would talk to the people that would benefit the most first before they start developing those innovative, creative devices, etc.
And what do you think are the next steps that need to happen in order to bring about the connected health revolution, if you want to call it that?
In terms of from an Irish perspective, there's lots of steps. From a patient organisation perspective, the first thing is that we have a hearing from people in Enterprise Ireland and people in the Department of Health and the HRB that they understand and value the patient input first before they develop anything. I mean, if you just listen to some of the patient representatives today who talked, whether that be e-patient Dave or whether that be our own Paul Carey from Ireland with Parkinson's, what you tell the doctor and what you hear from the clinician can be very different depending on the individual. And your interactions with your clinicians are maybe 3 or 4 times a year. That's not enough when you're managing a condition every single day of your life. And I suppose what they're asking for is more information, more technology, more ways to help manage and self-manage your chronic condition in partnership with the clinician, but not just with the clinician. You know, there's a lot of different stakeholders involved, and I think that really came across today. And I could see a lot of lights going off in terms of some of the people in the room from companies, and ideas are starting to happen because they're thinking about things in a completely different way when they listen to the patient perspective first. Because very often when you're either a scientist or you're a developer, you think you know what a patient with a condition wants. You've no idea unless you are that patient. It's not all, I said it earlier in my own speech, it's not always about a cure. Sometimes it's about something that can help you live your life and go to work, or remember to take your treatment, or ensure you don't have an exacerbation because you forgot to take your treatment, or remember to do your exercise. And all of it, I mean, it was amazing to hear, Brian Caulfield talked about Ireland, what Ireland could be in 5 years' time, and to have all of our information connected in one place, whether that be our own, the exercise we did, the tablets we took or didn't take, the physiotherapy we had, and then the clinician's interaction with us all in one place would be phenomenal. And anyone who's involved in sports in Ireland and athletics or any kind of sport, we're already doing that with our devices that we use. I'm not going to name them, but that happens already. Why can't we do that with healthcare?
Was there any particular speakers that resonated with you today? Any impressive speakers that you'd like to, follow up with?
Yeah, I would say they're all great, because it was partly our gig and UCD's. But I think, the patient perspective for me will always, what Paul Carey said about living with Parkinson's, that it's not just about the condition, it's not just about the symptoms of the condition, it's the psychological impact that being diagnosed with something like that can have on a person. And also then that story of how meeting other people with the condition, interacting with them socially, getting involved in a choir, set on how that can actually remedy some of those psychological aspects of the condition, and really having it out. And that doesn't happen in the surgery with a clinician. And I suppose that's, for me, another example of why it's so important that patient organisations are so important when you've got a condition like Parkinson's. I think the other one for sure was e-patient Dave. His story about how he met his wife online, and how you don't always pick the first one you meet online, and how we really need to take that attitude into the whole connected health space, and we need to find ways that work best for us depending on the patient organisation or the patient group we represent. I loved what he said about Google, that no one's died based on what they found on Google, that information is king, and that if you're a patient, you have every right to learn and know more, and that we really have to challenge that kind of hierarchical structure that exists in healthcare, where the patients seem to be, treated like as he talked about his grandchild, the baby in the car seat driven around, who doesn't really have a voice, and that really patients should have a voice, and it should be two-way. And I thought those are the two things. And obviously, it was a Monday morning, and we asked the Move for Parkinson's choir to really show what they do and how it makes a difference to people's lives. And I think everyone will remember the two songs that were sung to us on a Monday morning in Dublin. An Irish audience isn't always the same as an American audience, and I think they did quite well at receiving it, and I think it'll be something we'll always remember. And it was really about reminding everyone in the room that, from IPOSI's perspective, the patients will always be the people with the voice at our events. They will always lead in our events, and that's why Paul spoke ahead of the Minister for Health. And we were delighted that the Minister accepted that invitation on that basis, because that's where a lot of our direction comes from.
What role does science play in bringing about the vision of connected health?
Well, I think technology and science have a huge role to play in the connected health space. Traditionally, we've always people are always going to have illnesses. We have patient groups who have always had problems, and in this day and age, we have so much technology and science to bring together kind of a new era of different things that we can do in the space of connected health. I thought Patient Dave had a really, really great talk, and such a great personalisation story and personalised story that he had to give to the audience, and that was really, really interesting to hear from him. But it's just been great to hear lots of different perspectives. We've heard from patients, we've also heard from the scientists as well, Brian Caulfield, and also them with the people with the technology. And it's bringing all of those people with the different backgrounds together that I think will really make something magical happen here, that hopefully will have some really good outputs from the health hack, and that will really actually translate to better lives for the patient groups out of that.
And what has been the highlight of today's conference for you?
I think just getting these people with all different diverse backgrounds together in the one room has been really exciting. You can really feel the buzz in the room of these people getting together. You have the people with the science background and the research knowledge come together with the patient groups to really make an impact in that area. And I think that's just fantastic, and there's a really, really good feeling in the room.
I'm facilitating the afternoon health hack, where we bring people together and help them try and look through get ideas behind the challenges they're facing, go for the obvious ones, but then also try and tease out the stuff that's around the edges and the stuff that's frankly bizarre, on the grounds that it sometimes brings out possibilities that become quite distinctly either beneficial or immediately available, or at least in the near term they influence the solutions. So it's a way of tapping into the serendipitous possibilities brought about by having such a disparate collection of different folks who've come to today's session.
And what do you think is Ireland's opportunity in the area of connected health?
I think it's massive, because the whole thing about connected health is the need for the ICT infrastructure to support it, and we have massive capabilities in that space. So I think if we can connect it up to the hospitals and the medical staff in each of their different areas, we have the technical ability to deliver it, and then we'd be able to enjoy the fruits of it pretty quickly as well within our own medical systems. So I just think it's a huge possibility for us.
Was there any of the speakers at today's event that really struck a chord with you that you'd maybe follow up on when you get back to the office?
There was a few. It was quite interesting looking across the range of what they have. I thought the chap who had Parkinson's talking about the personal details of the journey he was on, that was fascinating. And then the professor from Scotland, Professor Crooks, I believe, he was just really interesting. He seems to have a really good handle on what it is to have an ICT infrastructure, but also how do you actually impact the lives of people in a meaningful way that they can go along with, that does give very good medical efficiency and medical benefits, but also works well with the community and where the community sees itself going. So it just seemed to be a really good way to form the solution, if you like, and likely to get some success along the way.
I'm a director of the Insight Centre for Data Analytics, and also the lead investigator in the ARCH programme, which is Applied Research for Connected Health in UCD. I come from a clinical background, and most of the research that I do as I go throughout my day is around trying to understand how we can measure human performance using on-body sensing primarily, and then after we do that, then understand how we can use that knowledge and that capability to better integrate people into management of their own health.
And what exactly does connected health mean to you?
Okay, well, connected health Connected Health is about, it's a vision for a new management model for health. The term connected means that you're connecting the stakeholders, and you're connecting them by means of providing them with the right information in the right place at the right time. Healthcare is all about making the right decisions, and to make decisions you need information. So Connected Health involves primarily using technology supports to leverage data, turn that data into information to help people make the right decisions. And regardless of whether those people are the patients themselves or the healthcare professionals or their caregivers. We're not going to be able to deliver a connected health ecosystem without greatly increasing our knowledge base with respect to where we are today. We have enormous capability to capture data from people using sensors, using invasive and non-invasive medical procedures. But the challenge for us is to try and understand how that data can be turned into actionable information. So there's an enormous data analytics challenge there. There's also a lot of challenges around, I suppose, the storage, the structuring, the database management, storage of data, sharing of data. So that's another area of scientific endeavour. And then if we go beyond that, we have to understand how the knowledge that is gained from the data analytics process can be turned into new models of care, and we have to evaluate those models of care. Again, more scientific endeavour. So the relationship between science and this process of innovation is very, very strong. There's no way you can separate the two processes. We're not that far away if we can get some of the fundamentals in place. One of the things that I mentioned earlier today was that we need to get the basic infrastructure that enables us to have people capture data and share data on a common platform together. If we can get that key piece of infrastructure in place, then the process innovation and the care model innovation will naturally flow afterwards, because we have most of the pieces there, but we don't have the platform that people can put those pieces on top of, and that's the critical enabling, or that's the critical block right now.
And just one last question. Was there any of today's speakers that particularly resonated with you, or any that you'd like to maybe follow up on when you get back to the office?
Yeah, well, to me, I suppose listening to the patients speak is always the most insightful and interesting thing. Paul Carey from Move for Parkinson's gave a really compelling view of the challenges that are faced by patients with Parkinson's disease, right from the point where they're told that they have the disease, right through to coping with it on an ongoing basis. And he gave a very, very clear and compelling kind of picture of the complexity of that challenge, and how sometimes people, because they don't have the right information, don't have the access to the right supports, feel like they're on their own and feel like they're fighting against the tide completely on their own. I think ePatient Dave also gave a really interesting insight into I suppose how we sometimes need to think about a different process for innovation and a different process to arrive at care plans for patients. It's not all about, basing the decisions we make around treatment on the outcomes of massive randomized controlled trials that cost multiples of millions of dollars. Sometimes we can, particularly in cases where the patient is really anxious to try new therapies and try new strategies, we can try new things, and we can understand on a case-by-case basis whether or not new processes are going to work. And I think that was a really important message that he delivered today.
So we're here at the Connected Health and Me conference here today in Dublin Castle. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is today at today's conference?
Yeah, I'm based at University College Dublin, and as a clinician I'm interested in linking in with the engineers and the computer scientists in relation to some of the fantastic technology they're developing in Ireland, and can we translate that to measuring quality of life of patients or people in their homes. And UCD is at the forefront of that. It's not just Ireland but globally. So I'm suppose the translational medicine lead for Insight, which is the SFI Centre, which UCD is a core partner, as well as ARCH, which is a national competence centre for connected health. So the idea really is that we get a critical mass of scientists with the early stage technology development, and then we validate that in clinical patient groups, for example, chronic bronchitis or heart failure. And the idea really is, can we assess in real time at home quality of life, patient wellness, how good, bad or indifferent you are. And the idea then is that if we can, when you actually go off and deteriorate, maybe the sensors or the technology might clinically detect this, and you can go to your doctors earlier before you go into extremis and have to go to hospital. And maybe we can intervene earlier and stop you going to hospital. And that would be the holy grail. That would be the ideal, would be to keep you at home, which is what everybody wants.
And what role does science and research in particular have in bringing about the vision of connected health?
Well, it's a new technology. Connected health is a new term, so we have to validate that the healthcare systems and processes that we have in place, that whatever the new technology offers is as good as and as safe as a hospital or a nursing home. And from my perspective and clinical perspective, that's my role, is to do clinical trials, mainly based in Ireland, in patients with chronic diseases, to see can we put together a safe early warning environment in their home that allows us define or at an early stage when you might be feeling or going off a little bit clinically, and get your GP involved, get primary care early involvement, and keep you out of hospital.
And what do you think are the key challenges to bringing about the sort of connected health revolution in Ireland?
Well, I think the key challenges will be on many different levels. I think from a clinician point of view and a medical doctor point of view, it's a new technology, and it has to be shown to other clinicians that it is of benefit. So that from a taking up of the technology in the clinical side, doctors will be very important. Other allied medical specialists, physiotherapists, nurses, and education and a convincing that the technology is worthwhile. And then most importantly, which is what this meeting is about, is interacting with patients and their families to show them the benefits of connected health in the future.
Earlier on today, Professor Brian Caulfield articulated a vision whereby the ordinary citizen would have their lifestyle, activities, diet passively monitored via, say, for example, a mobile phone app that could be then given to their GP, and the results could be downloaded, analysed. How far away do you think we are from that vision becoming a reality?
I think there's various steps we've got to take before that, but that certainly is a reality, and certainly within the world, and particularly United States, I'd say that's 3 to 5 years away. Ireland may be a little bit more distant, but it's certainly on the path within a few years. I mean, basically, Deirdre, I remember someone saying to me a very important sentence: we will all be patients one day. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to be patient one day, I want to be kept at home, I want to be independent, I want to be as strong, both mentally and physically. And if I do have to go to hospital, and as I get older, it's a high chance I will have to, I want to be there for the smallest amount of time and back in my home environment with my friends and family. And I think connected health offers that tantalizing prospect of that as a distinct possibility. In the world, in 3 to 5 years, probably Ireland 5 years plus.
Could you maybe just tell me a little bit about yourself and what your role is at today's conference?
Hi, Deirdre. Thanks for asking. I'm coming here basically due to some of the work that we've done in the past and we're currently doing in the field of patient registries. The European Commission has launched a large policy project trying to improve secondary use of data in patient registries, so that both basically the public health institutions as well as the Commission can benefit from the vast number of data collected in these registries. And I'm here to talk about the experience. Up until recently, I've been leading the joint action, and I've just recently moved to one of the industry providers in the medical device field.
And what is Ireland's opportunity, do you think, in the field of connected health?
Well, I think there's a lot that you can learn on the failures that others have already done, the success stories that others have already done, which enables you to do some of the leapfrogging, not repeating the failures all over again, and including the stuff that we have done in the patient registries field, where we are happy to have Ireland engaging to a great extent. We've got a lot of committed people in Ireland as well contributing, and as far as the other technological and organizational aspects are concerned, there's a lot of lessons that you can basically take on board, and maybe skip a couple of years of just trying.
Was there any speakers at today's event that particularly resonated with you, or that others that you'd like to maybe follow up on when you get back to the office?
Well, I would very much agree with Professor Caulfield as well as Yipesh and Dave. They definitely know what they're talking about, what the future is going to look like. And I think that if we all strive towards that same goal, so patient center, the entire continuum of care, connected health, we will get there eventually.
I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist, and I have a special interest in pregnancy health. So I would be focusing on women with being overweight and maybe at risk of diabetes in pregnancy, and thinking of ways to improve their health. So a lot of women in pregnancy maybe don't realise, but they should be eating more fruit and veg, they should be reducing their sugary intake, and maybe thinking about eating more fish and so on. So this is an area that I've been researching and have developed a smartphone app to support pregnant women to adhere to a healthy lifestyle. When we give patients advice, they might be very receptive to it, but then of course they go home and maybe they've forgotten a little bit of the content. So perhaps by using technology and having information available there, perhaps on their smartphone in the form of an app, that allows them to engage on a daily basis, and the hope would be that this would improve compliance to our lifestyle recommendations. I designed a research app specially for pregnant women, and the idea is that women who are overweight and maybe very overweight, we're giving them lifestyle advice, and then we developed a specifically designed app with nutritional information on it, recipes suitable for pregnancy with the right amount of vitamins, right amount of fibre and so on. And we're trialling this in a research study because, of course, Deirdre, there's many apps out there, but how do we know, are they effective? So the idea of this study is one group are just getting usual care, they're not getting any advice or an app, and the other group are getting advice supported with a smartphone app. And every day there's a different front page, there's some tips, there's a few jokes to improve compliance, and then there's exercise tips, there's nutritional tips, there's breakfast, lunch, dinner examples, there's snack examples. So we will be able to, in this research study, to see did the addition of the app to the lifestyle advice actually improve compliance. We will be able to monitor the interaction with the app with the clinical outcomes, and also we can do qualitative and quantitative research on the app. So for example, we've sat down with women in a detailed way over a period of 45 minutes to ask them about the app, what they thought was good, what could be improved. We've also got them to fill out questionnaires. So that gives us an idea of what they found useful. And what we found so far, Deirdre, is that they like the recipes, they like the nutritional component. It's an app very much focused on nutrition, and they like the fact that it's focused on that. So that's the feedback that we have so far. I think there's a lot of opportunity there for connected health. I think the technology platforms, bringing them into the healthcare setting, is a big challenge because there's security issues, there's data protection issues, there's safety issues. If a patient is reporting perhaps concerning symptoms into a technology platform, maybe before she had the technology platform access, she might have gone down to her GP, but now she's putting it into a technology platform. And is anyone actually looking at that to see, oh, well, actually, this is a concerning symptom that should be followed up on? So I think there's a number of things that need to be overcome before it's more widely available.
My name is Godfrey Fletcher. I'm chairperson of IPOSI. I'm also CEO of the Cystic Fibrosis Registry of Ireland. That's the patient registry. And then in addition to that, I also run my own sort of company which provides video sort of communication, and with that it has a connected health input as well.
And what does connected health mean to you?
I think connected health is something that needs to have the patient at the centre. I think it's what we call a fluid situation where information flows around the patient, and what I would like to see, and I've come up with a buzzword for it, is ISCA. So it's a unified information system for connected engagement. Okay, and we need to build platforms which will allow the patient to control his information and to share the information that he wants to share with his GPs, with his consultants, and that information can flow back. It's important that the flow back loop is there as well.
Professor Brian Caulfield articulated a vision earlier today whereby a person could download a mobile phone app and have their diet, their exercise, their activities and their daily lifestyle tracked, so that when they visit their GP, this could be easily downloaded and analysed. How far away do you think we are from that sort of vision becoming a reality?
I really think it's something that has to be driven by the patient. I think we're still quite a little bit away. I think there's certain paranoias there, and similar in the same way when IPOSI were doing research around clinical research. When we found that people didn't understand clinical research. Everyone thought they were guinea pigs. And until they was explained and then they were motivated, then they said they embraced it. They embraced the concept of clinical research. In the same way, once they're educated and understand the benefits of connected health, I believe they'll also firmly embrace it, and they will be the driving force. It is the patient that has to shout. The patient has to say, I want this technology, and then it will happen. Patient Dave had a very good actual presentation. Also, the actual Scottish system, sort of seeing how you can go about it. We're not the first to actually think about this. So by engaging with anybody who is working within this area, there's a great synergy of ideas. And as long as we are prepared to work in an open way, then things will happen.
Given that we're not the first, what do you think is Ireland's opportunity in the connected health area?
Well, our opportunity is there in that when you're not the first, you're not at the bleeding edge. The technologies are there. We just have to implement them. We have a great research base. We have a lot of good SMEs in the technology centre, particularly even in the health sector. And I suppose when we were looking at, for example, at the setup of Arch, and which is the sort of applied research centre for connected health, when at the very, very early stages, industry were sitting around the table with their arms folded, not sharing anything with each other when we're trying to sell the concept of connected health, and now we're all freely engaging and talking to each other. So we have to get out and start breaking down these barriers. If we break down the barriers, things will happen.